Hi, this is Mo Volans, and in this short video session, we're going to be taking a look at treating a synth line with the Elysia character hardware. And we're going to do that by using it as an insert in a DAW session, and also on a send return in conjunction with some effects. So quickly, just to take you through how I'm doing that, I'm using Logic, and I'm using the Logic I/O plugin. This allows me to send out of outputs from my Apollo interface and bring the audio from the Elysia character hardware back in. And I'm doing this both on an insert here and on a send return here. And when we're using it in the send return configuration, I'm using it with some effects straight afterwards, some filtering, delay and reverb. These are two pretty different ways of using Elysia character in your DAW, so hopefully you should see a nice contrast between the two. Now we've taken a look at the basic setup that we're using in Logic, let's concentrate on the hardware and dial in some settings on the character itself. Now, first of all, what I want to achieve is some basic tube-inspired saturation. And we're going to do that by, first of all, upping the drive, and then we're going to up the color and the gain to compensate for the drive. Then we'll mix things in. This is just to explain what I'm doing while I'm doing it, so I don't have to talk while the audio's on. So let's get the audio running in its current dry state. Now this is, as I mentioned before, a synth loop from a Nord lead that's already been bounced. But let's start dialing in these settings and see what we can achieve here. Now we can hear at 100% it's pretty full on, but if we dial it back to about 40, we add a really nice crunchy backdrop, and we can push this further by introducing the FET Shred. It seems to fill in the gaps and really make the whole thing denser and more complex. Now let's have a listen with it bypassed. Now that's great, and it's a pretty basic setting. You can get those settings pretty immediately by using character as an insert in this way. But let's say we want to do something a little bit more creative. Now, sometimes I like to use it as a send return effect, and when I do this, I just crank everything to 11 and then use it as a send return effect with maybe some spatial effects. So let's take a look at how I do this. I may even introduce some filtering. So first of all, we want to increase the drive to the top. I'll turn the color to the top, the gain to the top. I'm going to put it at 100% mix, and I'm going to engage everything. We've still got it in stereo link mode, so it's a stereo sound, so we're just using this side to control everything. As you can see, we're completely cranked, and we've got both FET Shred and Turbo Boost on. Now, usually I wouldn't mix at 100% when we're using as an insert, but in this case, we're going to be using it as a send return, so it makes sense. We can do the mixing within Logic. So let's move across to the software and see what we can do here with this setting. So here we are back inside Logic with our Nord lead bass ready to go. And before we had things set up as an insert, the I/O plugin was here in an insert slot. And now we've got it set up as a send return. So the bass channel is simply being sent to this return that's next to it, and we've got the I/O for character, the hardware, set up as a return. And this basically means that it's coming in fully wet because, as you saw before, we mixed it fully wet on the hardware. Now I'm going to play this back and I'll try and isolate the character for you so you can hear the full effect. Now we can hear it there in the background, but if I make sure that the Nord lead itself is not going anywhere, we'll hear the return in isolation. And as you can hear, it's totally smashed. And we're just running the character fully cranked. There's no space for mercy here. This is completely cranked. Everything's at 11. Now what I do after this is I put a filter on it, a high pass, little bit of resonance, sweeping it around. And of course you can automate this later. And then I've got some delay. Both FabFilter plugins. And I'm just mixing the wet dry in the delay, and again it's high passed. This just increases the stereo image and gives it a bit of space. Now let's route the original bass back in to the stereo output and mix them to taste. And we can send more to the character with the send return. And if you want to, you can add more delay. And we can even add a little bit of reverb. As you can hear, we can get some really interesting effects this way. I love to use character cranked in this manner to just make my returns more interesting and give them more texture and attitude. These short video sessions should have given you some idea of how flexible Elysia Character is. And remember, if you want to replicate some of these settings and sounds using software only, you can head on over to the Plugin Alliance website and grab the awesome plugin versions of Elysia Character. I hope you enjoyed these sessions and have had as much fun watching them as I did making them, and I'll see you next time.